What's up, Epic 7? TristenWulf here, and I wanted to show you some neat things you can do with FRIEREN. She is now the best in slot. So let's go ahead and take a look first at how she works in the Earth Expedition. Normally we've been running Cecilia in the front slot, and she is still technically best in slot. Here's the thing, right? If you run Cecilia in the front, it's very stable. There's almost no way for it to fail as long as you got the stats to do it. But that can be trouble. It can be hard to get the high enough damage stats on these 3 units to be able to clear with Cecilia, and some of you may be falling just a little bit short. With FRIEREN, the damage is through the freaking roof, but you have no source of immunity, which means you're constantly going to get peppered with poisons, and that can lead to premature cases of death. So occasionally a run's going to fail. Very rare, but occasionally. Things you can do to help alleviate that, and I'll get into them. First, I'm running my RTA FRIEREN, just full speed. I didn't put her on any kind of artifact that's going to help with this fight. I wanted to go with a FRIEREN that is stereotypical of what most people are shooting for their RTA PvP FRIERENs. If you run a DPS version of FRIEREN, it's actually going to be significantly faster, cleaner, and more efficient, but not a lot of people are running FRIEREN like this, so we're going to stick with the DPS version. As much speed as you can get on her, as much attack and crit damage as you can get on her, 100% crit chance, and artifact doesn't matter. Just run her however you normally are running her. Any FRIEREN will work, really. Any will make it better. Stereotypical Mercedes, a Destruction or Rage set would be even better. A Torrent set would be even better. But remember, you are going to be eating a lot of poison, so try to keep her, I guess, close to 10 to 11k health as possible so that she has a chance to not get a sudden case of death herself. That's pretty much it for Mercedes. Bomb model Kana. Run her as fast as you can while maintaining damage. This is overkill. You could run her anything over 200 speed. I think you'd be fine. Remember, your healing from Bloodstone scales off of the damage you do. So it's important to do more damage than to go fast. So this is a pretty heavy duty bomb model Kana. You can go lower. The Unity set's completely optional. It just allows for some shenanigans. As for the exclusive equipment, I've got her on the number 2 exclusive equipment to give speed and dual attack chances higher. Just, it's her best in slot, right? That's it. That's bomb model Kana. And as for Ball and Cezanne, anything over 200 speed is plenty. 85% effectiveness. He is our only source of defense break, so you want him at 85% effectiveness to give him the best chance to stick that. 85 or higher. 85 is the cap. 85% crit chance, because again, you got elemental advantage, so this is effectively 100. You get plus 15 from elemental advantage, and as much damage you can get on, because he does a freakish amount of damage. But again, keep him above 10k health so he doesn't die too easily. With those poisons on there and bomb model Kana's Bloodstone being the only source of healing, it's easy to catch a case of death if you don't have a little bit of bulk. Prophetic Candlestick or Etika Scepter to help cycle his S3, because again, that is our source of defense breaks. You want that to come around as quickly as possible. For the exclusive equipment, I've got him on his number 3 EE. That gives us an additional chance to defense break on the S3. And that's it, guys. Here's how the fight rolls. Everybody's skills are on, as you can see. Just press auto and go. Now, if you run the slower FRIEREN, it's actually better because Ball and Cezanne will get that defense break off before FRIEREN hits, but it doesn't really matter that much. Ball and Cezanne gets a defense break. We missed the slow debuff. That's a little unfortunate. The speed buff from Kana is huge here. Remember, if you do not have Bloodstone on bomb model Kana, then I would ditch probably Mercedes and put Mascot Hazel on the team just to give you a little bit of extra sustain, because you got to have that Bloodstone to take the edge off. All of those poisons stack up. You see how we start taking damage, but Kana is so fast and does enough damage that every attack she does heals. A couple of dual attacks help keep us alive too, if we're lucky enough to get one. But even if we aren't lucky enough to get one, Kana usually laps around and cuts. Let's see if Kana cuts here. Yep, Kana cuts, and she's able to heal up Ball and Cezanne before he takes any poison damage. Etika Scepter prop, so we get another chance for that slow debuff. This time we lock it in. Slow and defense break is huge for this. Having speed buff on yourself and slow debuff on the enemy is part of why this does so much damage. Now, as the boss's health goes down, FRIEREN's S2 hits harder. So you may be sitting here going, it's not doing nearly as much damage as I thought. Watch FRIEREN's damage start to ramp up the further in the fight we go, because the boss's health starts to reduce. FRIEREN S3 gives herself an attack buff. Oh, and that's why we have her skills on. You may be wondering why we don't just S1 all the time. We want to give her an attack buff and not just have to rely on Mercedes. We refresh the defense break and the slow debuff. Poison damage everywhere. Mercedes pops off here, extending the attack buffs. Okay, watch this hit from FRIEREN now. 41k health. That was at about 60% or 55-60% if we have 41k damage. Watch now that the health's a little bit lower. Now at 45% health we do 41.8. You're going to notice FRIEREN's damage spooling up higher and higher the further you push into this, and that's what makes it so clean, as she starts doing really good damage and is great at closing out the fight. Speed buff back and restored everybody. Our balance is on is hurt pretty badly. See how low his health is, guys? See why you want that 10k health on balance is on? Dual attack with bomb model Kana heals us up. This extra hit here, and Kana hits.
Are you ready, my lady?
And we're going to reestablish the defense breaks and the slow debuffs. Attack buff for FRIEREN from her S3. Lots of poison damage, but Khan is able to heal up. Okay, now remember before when she did 41.8k damage? Let's check out FRIEREN's damage now at 20% health. 44.5k damage. Really starts ramping up, making her hit harder and harder and harder. If you're using the damage FRIEREN, oh my god. But look how close we are. We have got 3 more rounds before the final hit, and we've already almost defeated the boss. We're at 1.6 million, almost 1.7, 1.72, 1.75. The next hit kills, and we still have 2 full cycles before the final hit. So if you guys are looking for a way to defeat the Green Expedition, if you're struggling to get it done, FRIEREN really brings the damage. Again, I will reiterate, there is a small chance of failure. If you run Cecilia, you eliminate that chance of failure, but she takes higher gear requirements. FRIEREN lets you bring in lower gear overall and nuke it down. Now that we've covered Earth Expedition, let's check out FRIEREN in the Ice Expedition. Let's find a nice juicy one. Here we go. Let's see if we can clear this one out. So we are dropping Brieg and putting in FRIEREN. Now, again, I'm going to run my fast FRIEREN, the slow FRIEREN, the slow high damage FRIEREN even better, but I want to show that this can just be done with your RTA FRIERENs. You don't have to build a special PvP one, but if you, or PvE one, but if you did, damage one better. And the same team as before. We're going to run Fenris as our DPS. He's got 5200 attack, making him our highest attack unit. I've got him on Dux Noctis for some extra damage. He's overstatted. He only needs to be at 85% crit chance, but I do like using him in the light expo as well, so I got him at 100%. Tons of crit damage. Speed doesn't really matter. Pen Destro set. Typical run-of-the-mill Fenris, typical run-of-the-mill Tamarin. You want her on Magahara's Tome with a little bit of speed, 200 to 210 speed plus. The faster the better to cycle her. She's your healer. You want her to take turns. The ER is not necessary. The effect is not necessary. Just nice perks. You want enough bulk where she can stay alive. You don't want her to die. She's going to take heavy damage being a fire unit into a water boss. And last is Lilka. The girl brings it all together. Lilka's going to CR push whoever it is on her team that is weakened, slowed, whatever the debuff is and stops movement. I've got her on Song of Stars. A plus 31 would be better. In fact, screw it, I will change her out to a plus 31. It doesn't matter really. She attacks so damn often that the target's going to hit. You know what? Let's make it a little bit more free to play friendly. Why don't we? We'll just go ahead and leave the plus 18-1 on her. There you go. What's the fight without a little bit of RNG? You want 85% effectiveness to stick her debuffs, 85% crit chance so that she can do some damage, because she actually does bring a good chunk of damage to this fight, and rest into speed, attack, and crit damage. All right, guys, fire it up. Everybody's skills are on. Now here's a weird interaction, right? Fenris is going to get restricted because he is the highest attack unit, but then FRIEREN gives herself an attack buff, making her the highest attack unit. So our Loco's going to push FRIEREN, which isn't exactly what we wanted, but it should pan out at the end. In a perfect world, have your Loca go before your FRIEREN, or have your FRIEREN be the highest attack unit at the start so she gets restricted, because this is going to slow down our Fenris activation. But trust, guys, it'll be fine. We just have to rely a little bit on Tamarin. FRIEREN's still going to bring a ton of damage to the party. A little bit of a heal from our Tamarin. FRIEREN hits into an extra attack. Starts out real slow. There's a defense break and a target.
Not so sure about this.
Okay, Fenris gets pushed to the front because he has an attack buff, and now he actually gets to drop some damage in, and we're going to start ramping things up here. FRIEREN's hitting in with an extra attack for how much damage? 18k. Doesn't feel like that much, does it? Tamarin pushes everybody up.
To my song, shine free.
Now we can get some debuffs going.
Together.
You underestimated me.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's shine.
Tip of this
FRIEREN taking some hits.
completely.
Fenris getting some damage off. We are just now hitting the halfway point of the fight. Fenris gets pushed up again. You see the big white letter A beside the boss's bar at the top. That means his skill is active. When that skill goes off, we are at the halfway point. We need to be at 900k damage when we hit that halfway point to, you know, ensure we're moving along at a decent click.
I'll focus on one at a time. Go away.
Not quite 900, right? But remember, as we go further into the fight, the boss's health goes down. That means FRIEREN hits harder and harder and harder. Okay, let's push up, give everybody an attack buff. Because Fenris has an attack buff, he will be the highest attack unit. So when Lilka CR pushes, she will grab Fenris and push him to the front of the line. Hit. Doing 56k damage coming out of FRIEREN. FRIEREN S3s gives herself an attack buff.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's
Everybody to the front of the line. Fenris gets CR pushed up. Fenris drops his S3. Watch this damage into a greater attack buff, into a defense break. 95,000 damage. FRIEREN does 22,000 damage with an extra hit, racking up another 22. So FRIEREN's doing about 44 damage, 44k damage per hit. Another hit, 22k, another hit, another 21k. That's without a defense break, guys. We're at 1.3 million. We got a target debuff up now. Another hit, 114,000 on that S1. Tamarin pushes everybody up. This fight is so fast and so clean. And think about how much faster it would be if we ran a damage FRIEREN instead of a speed FRIEREN at the start. So I feel bad for Cecilia. She's lost her job in the Earth Expedition for a lot of you, but this will help solve a lot of the questions of what do I do if I don't have Cecilia? And although everybody has Brieg here, FRIEREN is just significantly faster and more stable in Ice Expedition. Okay, we got one more to show you. That is the light expedition. That's right, she works here too. So we have taken Surmia out of the team and put FRIEREN in just to show off that she can work here. Now, for real, guys, I think Surmia might be better. Might, but you know what? This means you can run your standard RTA FRIEREN and not have to gear Surmia. That's, you know, less units that you got to put high-end PvE gear on. Standard Brig, of course. Artifact can be anything. I just keep them on this to make it a little easier when Dark Expedition comes around. 35% effectiveness is all he needs, and the rest into damage and a little bit of speed. We're going to run a Cerise. As shown, you can replace Cerise with a really high damage dealing Assyria. Wanderer Silk works great, or Camilla. I've got her on a Song of Stars just to add target to her kit. She brings buff blocks, so you want her to go relatively fast. And our most important unit, Zealot Carmen Rose. I've got her on a Rage set plus Caladra and Pen set. None of that's necessary. You can run her on Destro Crit, any artifact, but she does a lot of damage. Don't underestimate how much Zealot Carmen Rose can bring for damage. She needs 35% effectiveness. She needs 100% crit chance rest into damage. Faster the better. Mine's a little slow. I would like it if she was closer to 200, but we're just going to run her the way she is, fire it up, and show you how the team works. At the start of the fight, everybody's skills are on.
This can't be helped. This is going.
Sri starts out with her S3. This will proc the defense buff on the Pain Pursuer, but also give us slow, and that slow is huge. FRIEREN's going to do an attack. It's not going to hit very hard because of the defense buff, but it gets us the attack buff. Hopefully Carmen Rose strips and applies buff block. She does strip and apply the buff block. Now we just need a good old defense break from Brig. Come on, Brig. Do it for me. Show me defense break.
You degrade yourself.
Awesome. Okay, so now we can see FRIEREN's first attack. There's an S1 for 28k into the S2 for 22.3k. Now, as the HP bar on the boss goes down, FRIEREN's S2 damage goes up, and that's what makes her so good here. You might start this out saying, man, FRIEREN's not doing nearly as much damage as my Surmia was, but watch it. The further in the fight you go, the harder your FRIEREN's going to start hitting. And once again, like all the other ones, if you run a damage FRIEREN, you'll do even faster and more damage. But I realize not everybody wants to build a damage FRIEREN. Most people want to run their RTA builds, so we're going for that. Okay, Brig, show me a strip and a defense break. We got the strip and the defense break. Excellent. We'll re-up the slow debuff. I was already at 2 turns, so it didn't help us that much, but we will get the buff block here from Zealot Carmen Rose. Huge. Now FRIEREN can S3, give herself an attack buff, and we're really ramping up the damage. We are at about 500k, and we're not even close to the halfway mark yet. We still got 2 more turns on the Pain Pursuer before we hit the halfway mark.
How naive.
Okay, we lost the target buff, but we just now got it back. Excellent. Brig hits again, re-upping our defense break for 2 turns. You'll notice the little A is lit up underneath the Pain Pursuer's ultimate skill. If he takes the turn with that A lit up, that is the halfway point. And ideally, you want to be about 900k damage for that halfway point with any other team. But with FRIEREN, you can be a little bit lower because the second half of the fight, you'll do even more damage and help bridge the gap. But look at this, we're closing in on 900k even without that. FRIEREN's hit into an extra hit, and she does, instead of 22, oh, she's not wearing an attack buff. We gotta wait until she attack buffs to get a good apples for apples comparison to how her damage is ramping up. S3 from Cerise here. Little unfortunate timing on my speed tuning. I would rather she have done that after the Pain Pursuer cleanses and strips everything. Same here, unfortunate timing. We lose all of our buffs. There's the defense buff on the Pain Pursuer, but we're right at that 900k mark, at the halfway point. Do we get a buff block? We do. Buff block and target. Now Brig just needs to strip and give us defense break here, and we'll be in really good shape. Show me a strip and a defense break, Brig.
You degrade yourself.
Nice. We got both, guys. We got both. And a slow debuff from Zealot Carmen Rose. I want to point out that was 20k damage on that S2 without an attack buff. That's how much our damage is ramping up into the second half here.
This can't be helped. This is going
Cerise with the S3, ramping up the slow debuff to 2 turns. Brig with his S3, giving us an additional 2 turns on the defense break, as long as we don't get 15%ed, and we got 15%ed. That's adorable. Zealot Carmen Rose puts buff block on for 2 turns. That's what's more important. We've lost our defense break. Tragic. Hack. Target. Hit. Without a defense break, we're still chewing through this barrier pretty quickly.
Out of respect.
Okay, Brig. You got one more round, and there. Show me a defense break, Brig. Get us back in the game.
For your reckless greed.
I'll destroy you.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Okay, guys, you want to see what FRIEREN could do this far in? Watch this damage. 32 on the first hit, and we went from 22 at the start to 32 at the end. Significantly more damage, which is going to let us clear this out relatively quickly. We're coming up on the last hit from the boss. Boss is going to do its ultimate.
I'll take you somewhere nice.
We get the buff block and strip. Oh, we didn't get the strip or the buff block. That's terrible. Do we get a strip here at least? We got the strip from Cerise. At least there's that. The very next hit the boss does will trigger Berserk, and then he goes around the horn again to get the kill. I want you to look how hard we're hitting him. We don't have a defense breakup, and we're still chewing through him at this rate. This will trigger Berserk, which should be the last round. Yep, there's the Berserk. We've got until the boss takes a turn again to win, but we are at 1.7 million points. We only need another 60,000 points to lock this down. I think that's going to be a pretty easy ask with FRIEREN getting ready to take a turn while wearing an attack buff. I'm not even sure if FRIEREN's going to get a turn. Brig's going to steal this victory. Very clean and consistent, and if you use a damage FRIEREN or even just put her on a damage artifact with your RTA FRIEREN, you'll be able to chew through the light expedition. Super easy, more consistent than any other DPS. Dare I say, I think more consistent than even Fire Sirmia. I'm sad that Cecilia has lost her only job in the game. I am sad that Fire Sirmia might just have lost her only job in the game, but there you go. FRIEREN owns expeditions. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, Epic 7.